We are learning Likkutei Sichot, Volume 1. We're back to Volume 1 to pick up the Bereishit parshas, all the parshas from Genesis that we didn't do in our previous review. Okay, so we're up to section 3. Parshas Bereishit, we're on page 1. Lefi Amur, so we talked a lot about how the Baal Shem Tov and Chassidus in general does not see nature as being negative. It's a big change, again, not something that needs to be conquered, something that needs to be subjected, which was the classic way of looking at it, but rather that at every moment it is being recreated by Hashem. And the moment you say that, so you understand that Hashem's will is in nature. You can't ignore that. You can't just say, oh, it's some kind of imperfect reality that somehow slipped from under Hashem's fingers and we're here to fix it. No, it has its own merit on its own. לפי האמור יובן שאומנם שבת בראשית משפיעה על כל השנה משום שזכירת בראשית ברא היא יסוד עבודת השם לכל השנה. So, in this way, we understand what it means that Parshas Bereishit, that Shabbos Bereishit, has an impact on how we conduct ourselves, how we comport ourselves the rest of the year. How? Because we remember constantly that God created, that God is recreating the world at every moment. And it's if you feel that on Shabbos Bereishit, you'll carry that with you, or you can at least recall that during the rest of the days of the year. שאדם מישראל רוצה לעשות גם את עיסוקו החומרי כלי לאלוקות, ונדמה לו שמבחינת סדרי טבע העולם קשה הדבר ושאין זה אפשרי, הרי כשהוא מעלה בזיכרונות הידיעה שלעולם השם דברך ניצב בשמיים, שלאמיתו של דבר אין מציאות של עולם בכלל. ומה שיש במציאות הוא כי ויאמר אלוקים יהי אור, לכן ויהי אור, וכך גם בשאר 10 המאמרות, ומשום שקודש הבריך הוא הסתכל באורייתא וברא עלמא, הקדוש ברוך הוא מסתכל בתורה וברא את העולם. אזי הנחה זו שכל קיום המציאות העולם הוא רק על ידי 10 מאמרות שבתורה מביאה לדעת שלא ייתכן שמציאות העולם מפריעה לקיום המצוות. And so, how does the Rebbe use this understanding that God's will is within creation? That when a person remembers this, when he's dealing with physical matters, mundane matters, and it seems to him that the world is in opposition to what he wants, that it's difficult to make a living if you keep Shabbos, that it's hard to get to davening on time because you miss the best hours of work, that because of this you're missing out on different aspects of reality because you don't watch TV or whatever else you don't do. So he comes and he says, well, the moment you remember this, that God created the world and He's recreating it at every moment, then you're able to see beyond the facade of the world and understand really that the world is not in opposition to you. It's only a test. It's only at most an external stance, but it's not really like that in its essence. And really the only reason the world exists is because God said so, that it should be. And what's really hiding behind the world, as he'll clarify in the Sichot from volume 10, the second Sichot on Bereishit there, is on Vayihi Or, is that the whole purpose of creation was to reveal God's light in it. Right? Except that there's a higher level that needs to be reached, but the point of creation was to reveal God's light. Yehi Or, the Yehi Or is the purpose behind creation, to reveal light. So all your actions can be actions that reveal light. In fact, that's how you know if your action was something good. If it reveals light, then it's something positive. That has to be the goal of everything that we do, is to reveal Hashem's light in the world. So he says,
how do you know if you're revealing God's light?
Well, you see it. You know the difference between light and darkness. So when I come home and I put my son down like I did 2 days ago, I said something that really hurt him. So I didn't reveal light. I know I didn't do the right thing. So I have to fix it in some way. I have to figure out, how do I reveal light? It's that simple, really, in the end. It's not to say that you can't say anything. It's not to say that everything you do has to be that's not light, to flatter someone. That's not revealing light. That's just flattery is not revealing light. Revealing light is when the person moves, when they feel that they've found a higher ground to stand on, and you've helped them up to that point. You've helped them rise to that place that they're now in. That's what it means to reveal light. So, like you do, when you walk into a room, everybody lights up. I've seen it many times. Why? Because you're increasing light. Yeah. That's how it is.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, that's because Baruch Hashem, you can't see it. But that's the reality. Everything that you do should be increasing light. So he says, the whole purpose of creation was to do the same thing. The whole purpose, and from the beginning, was to reveal light in the world. So if that's what the purpose was, so how can that supposition align with the world being opposed to what I'm doing, to the good things that I'm doing, to following God's commandments? It can't be. It can't be that the nature of the world is somehow opposed to the performance of mitzvos. It's not. כיוון שבתורה זו עצמה כתוב אנוכי השם אלוקיך בכל תרי"ג המצוות. The same Torah that tells me that God created the world and the purpose was to reveal light is the same Torah that gives me the commandments. כשאדם מגיע למסקנה שמציאות העולם היא תורה, when a person comes to the conclusion that the reality, the substance of the world is Torah, הרי גם בלכתו ברחוב, even when he's walking down the street, בהיותו בעסקיו הוא משנן מאמרי רז"ל. So what does he do? He's walking down the street, he repeats sayings from the sages. He goes over them in his head. He thinks about them, he even says them. Capital of Tehillim, chapter of Tehillim, Perik Mishnah, chapter of Mishnah, chapter of Tanya. He says these things because he feels that he's revealing in the world its true purpose. And right now, the world doesn't look like a chapter of Tanya around us, although here is a very nice and hospitable, right, area and atmosphere. But still, I can walk down it. I can walk down the street somewhere where it's not. I don't feel that way. And if I feel that the true nature of the world is Tanya and Tehillim and Chazal and Torah and good deeds, so that becomes the true nature of the world. I have to walk, I have to infuse my reality with the true purpose of what the world is about. Because the world is waiting for me to reveal that in it. הרי הוא מכריע את העולם כולו לקו זכות. בכל פעולה טובה שנעשית על ידו, הרי הוא מכריע את העולם לקו זכות. And then every good thing that he does is tipping the scales to judging the world in a favorable way, for merit. כלומר, הכרתו והתעמקותו במשמעות הפנימית שבראשית ברא אלוקים את השמיים ואת הארץ, מביאה לידי כך שהדבר משפיע ביחס, ביחס לכל השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, לכל הבריאה. So the very fact that I dwell on the true purpose of creation, which was to reveal the goodness of God, that itself affects the heavens and the earth and all their hosts and all of creation. Because I'm not adding anything new. I'm just revealing what was there from the beginning. So there cannot be any opposition. That was the first thing he said. There's no way that it can be opposed to you. So even if the world is fighting against you, it seems to you that it's fighting, you should know that it's not fighting against you. You shouldn't see it that way. You need to see through it, to understand that this is positive. I just finished an hour-long conversation with someone about... What?
You should speak to me.
Last night, yeah. For half an hour. We'll talk about that later. So I just finished talking to someone in Los Angeles, and he's been through a lot of distress. People defaming him and slandering and this and that. So the world seems like a very terrible place.
Right.
What did Reb Usher teach us about these things? That if you are truly lowly, like King David, then these things only bring you joy. Why would they bring you joy? That's a very hard thing to swallow. Because the only way Hashem can function through me, can work through me, is if I'm a vessel. But if I hold myself to be so important and so holy and so this and so that, how much room is there for Hashem to do anything? There's no room left. These things, as difficult as they are for the animal soul to deal with, the divine soul, like it says in the Tanya, rejoices in them. Why? Because it puts the animal soul in its rightful place. Who do you think you really are? And when the animal soul feels lowly, then the joy begins to come out that I'm now a true vessel for Hashem. I'm becoming a vessel. He gave me like we were talking about it, so he gave me the example. So the iron that's being heated and then beat into a shape, it's got to be happy with the hardship. The sin is not happy just with the hardship. It's happy by the fact that it's becoming a vessel. Before then, I was a flat piece of nothing. There was nothing to do with me. And now, when these hardships come along, what they're doing is they're lowering the animal soul, and they're giving me an opportunity to really become a vessel for what Hashem wants me to do. So these hardships are not what they seem. They're tests. And these tests forge you into a vessel. So again, the Rebbe was very big on this, that you don't need to look at the world as somehow being opposed to what you're doing. It's not opposed. If there's any opposition, it's only to help you become a better vessel. And really, the purpose of the world is the same purpose that you have, which is to reveal light. Kavanat hapidgam sheshabbat Bereishit mashpiah. So again, we're talking about how does Shabbos Bereishit affect the rest of the year. So it says it affects us by us understanding and remembering that the world is not, the physical world, the natural world is not something that we need to conquer. It's not against us. We don't need to fight with it. Rather, we just need to reveal its inner essence. כוונת הפתגם של שבת בראשית משפיעה ונוגעת לכל השניים ביחס לכל העניינים, הן רוחניים והן גשמיים. And don't think that this is just about mundane matters. This is not only about the physical. This is also about spiritual matters also. כי הידיעה וההכרה בלעולם השם דברך ניצב בשמיים. The fact that the person recognizes and acknowledges constantly that Hashem's word is constantly bringing the world into being. נוגעת לא רק בעבודה רוחנית, כי אם גם מסייעת להסרת הדאגות בקשר לעניינים גשמיים. כפי שאומר בתניא. Well, I should have said it the other way around. Until now, he's been talking not just about the physical difficulties, but about the spiritual difficulties. That the world seems to be opposed. And I guess for the Rebbe talking in 1950, this was the main issue. The main issue was, and again, perhaps for many, many Jews it still is, that I'm living in an atmosphere which is completely the opposite. It's not even physical. Physically, I'm fine. I have no problems. I can keep Shabbos. I can do this. I can do that. Everything is easier now, because of 70 years of work of the Rebbe. So you're in America, or even in Eretz Yisrael, it's a different atmosphere now. Nobody's against your Yiddishkeit anymore. But, so spiritually you're set. But then you see that there are physical difficulties. There's still some physical difficulties. So, what are the physical difficulties? כפי שאומר בתניא שהדאגות על חיסרון בבני חיים זוני באה מחמת שכחה שהכל בא מיד הקדוש ברוך הוא. So here he's saying that, as it says in the Tanya, that the reason that you have worries about your children, meaning your family, your livelihood, and your health, they come from the fact that you forget that everything is from God, including the physical reality, your physical reality. These are physical realities for a person. ברם כשיזכור האדם שתמיד שהכל בא מידי הקדוש ברוך הוא בכל עת ובכל רגע, לא ידאג שכן הוא יודע שמאיתו לא תצא הרעות. But if a person remembers that this is all from Hashem, then he won't feel that it's possible for this to be negative, because Hashem doesn't do negative things. כי אם טוב, it's all good. כשההכרה הזאת תיקבע בנפשו, יראה גם בעיני בשר את הטובה בטוב הנראה והנגלה. And here too, it takes inner commitment. No, commitment is the wrong word. Conviction. It takes inner conviction on the inside, in your psychology, to understand that all is good in order to be able to see it in practice. What? And tomorrow? Yeah? Why?
I told you, no? Once in Pistoria there was a whole bunch of guys there
Yeah.
who were what we call paralytic, out, toxic, right?
Paralytic.
And they couldn't get up and go home, they couldn't daven, so they just sort of like laid on the benches waiting for mincha. And suddenly one of them, Avia, was like, Hayom Akol Tov. So they started to make a song, Hayom Akol Tov, they started singing. And they adopted it. It's
The motto.
Sisma of the motto of the bit about Hayom Akol Tov. Well, yeah, so
Hopefully we'll finish sections 5 and 6 tomorrow.
that's a shame.
Yeah, we might actually skip to 7. I'll see.
Yes, so Leo sounds like he's at the end of his tether.